Welcome everyone. Good evening. Now we will be continuing our session for this webinar series. So today's session we named it a switch from Sketchup. Majorly we are looking at a switch from 3D modeling software rather than looking at any specific software in this case. As you have already, some of you have already been part of this session. I'll just introduce the series as well. The first part of the series was on 30th of April. It was majorly looking into switching from a two-dimensional software or a CAD software that we have. And this session, we are looking into switch from SketchUp or a modeling based tool, where we are more focusing on to parametric tools, freeform tools, automatic labeling, Autotext also publishes sets. So all these aspects we already covered it, but then into an advanced level where relating into a 3D software that we have for modeling. Now, third session will be on 29th May, where we are looking into alternative to Revit. So Revit, as you know, it's a BIM software. So Archicad is a tool that has been there from the last 40 years. So we'll be mostly focusing into the BIM, complete BIM aspect of Archicad on the third session. And on the last session, we'll be focusing into coordination and collaboration within Archicad Solo. Now, I have Satish sir has already introduced me. So my major work is going into BIM and also computational design. So my thought process or the way that we'll be talking is from an architectural perspective itself, and also about our company. We are mainly into BIM and tools that will be aiding our AEC industry. So if you have any queries or anything regarding BIM, you can always contact us. Contact us. We will be always be helping, and we are based on Bangalore. Now, moving forward from the last session, if I take some of the inputs that Archicad Solo as a BIM tool, starting from 2D, then going towards 3D, and then going towards BIM. We already explained how it works. But here, in this case, we are actually doing a comparison between a 3D modeling and a BIM software directly. So as you know, some of you have already explored 3D modeling software such as SketchUp, Rhinoceros, or Snapdoodle, Blender, 3ds Max, and all these software that you know are mainly focused on 3D modeling for any industry. It is not specific to any. But when it comes to a BIM tool, such as Archicad, Revit, Allplan, Vectorworks, all these are mainly focusing on to the BIM aspect of it, where it is dedicated to the design and modeling documentation on architectural, engineering, and construction industry. So the difference here is all about having the information and also be able to document it in the right way. Now, as a disclaimer, I would like to say that there is no tool that is a bad tool. So if I want to achieve the same thing, I can also just use my paper and pen to do the same way. But then when you have a tool in your hand, we will be able to clearly have the purpose with that same tool. So you have to select the right one for the right purpose. Now, the tool when you select as a designer or as an architect or an engineer, you have to look at certain aspect of it to take it forward. So one of them is being able to design something parametrically, because none of the designs are actually the process of design is actually not constant. It keeps changing. The parameters keeps varying. Then visualization, not just creating a 3D model or having certain information. You should be able to visualize as well to showcase it for somebody else. Again, the same thing, whatever you create or model or visualize, you should be able to document it so that it goes to the next person in terms of the building design and construction. And the last part is a collaboration where, as you know, it's not just a one person's job to create a building. So it's very clear and evident that a tool that supports collaboration is what something that we need for our industry and development. Specifically going into Archicad Solo, we already looked into from 2D and 3D changes, but here we are focusing more into the parametric aspect of it. For example, if I talk about a wall in our construction, wall comes with this length, width, height. So that is the basic geometric properties. But then adding on to that, what material it is made of, or what is the who is the manufacturer to that. So all this set of information has to be carried, not just a geometric, not just a physical, there should be non-physical data as well. So that is a parametric tool helping us to add this information into this. When I do one change, everything else has to change. So that is the second part of it, that is the interconnection between 3D and 2D. You're not just making a model, you're also creating the sheets along with that, or documentation. And when I do any change in one location, the other side also has to change. So this interconnection is something very important to reduce the time that we spend on editing our models or drawings and things like that. Moving on to that, from this, what we create, we should be able to get the information back. So we can name it as even part of documentation, or in terms of creating or scheduling of these informations. So the schedules are really required, and it has to be parametric. It has to be linked to your model. Any changes, the schedules also has to change in the same way, so that the quantity takeoff will be really easy within the software and it will not consume. So the major point is that a designer should spend more time on design rather than creating the documentation. So these tools kind of help us doing the same. Now, before we switch to the demonstration of it, some of the things that I'll be exploring. One is creating a site model from surveys data. Why is that the right now, if you look at the practice, there is a team those who do the survey, and the data they will be converting that to probably a contour map or a drawing. Again, that map is again converted to a 3D software. So that is a workflow. So we will be showing a different workflow where one part of the whole process can be completely eliminated for easy workflow. Again, multi-segment columns and beams. So we will be demonstrating columns. So, but the beam is also same way. So as you know, a column is not just a one element that goes from top to bottom, but it also has something like a footing or sub layers to this substructure. Next part, we will be looking into some of the attributes of Archicad, where it will help you to document completely, which is the highlight considering the comparison between the modeling software towards BIM software. Again, we'll be looking into a tool called Morph tool, where this is going to help a lot in terms of making a massing model and even creating certain objects or libraries for us. And at last, we will be also looking into Autotext in labels. So labeling is something that is really important in terms of creating the documentation and takeoff of information, and also the schedule part of it. So it'll be last session we had just introduced the schedule, but here we'll be looking a little deeper into this. Now let us move to Archicad Solo, and let us start with this. So this is what we were working on the previous session. So those who are not here, I'll just mention that we, from a sketch that you had, like a DWG file, we created a model. We also added many information that was required for this, including what type of material, what type of hatch, the column details, also the information of the same. We also made certain sheets such as drawing for the ground floor, both architectural and structural, and there was also items related to creating sections and elevation. So we went through a certain stage of showcasing or demonstrating this aspect. Now, let's come back and start from the first part of it, where we are going to use the surveyor's data. I'm going to create from there for a site. So if you are not seen this surveys data in terms of an Excel file, it will look more or like this, where you have a coordinate of X and Y that will be taken, and also the Z dimension that will be the height from the reference plane. So you can always get a line which is more or like an Excel file, and we will be able to convert that into a text file with a tab space, or we can call it as a .xyz file. So that is a standard file name that we can use. So we have created that file, and using the same file, what we do is we are going to import into the model. So what we do is under interoperability. So that's the term for connecting between different stakeholders that we have. We have an option called mesh. So mesh is a tool that we use to create landscape. So we are going to the same thing. So interoperability, and then place mesh from surveys data, and then we can locate the file. So this is that it's a text file itself with the coordinates. And then when I give, it will ask me which unit it is worked on. So right now it is on meters. Also, I have given an offset to the surveys data for 5 meters to match the data. And then if I give OK, it will ask me to place it. So as we know, we also will be working as a BIM tool or a person in the same industry, geolocating something or surveys position the where the survey point is really important. So in this case, we have created a survey point specifically here that is to match. So right now we have added a mesh here. So we will be making it a little better in terms of its presentation by avoiding this cover fill and also removing these edges. So now we have a model which has its boundary. And then if I get back to 3D, you will be able to see the same Excel data has been created this model directly. So this is one of the major advantage when it comes to modeling part of it. So instead of taking the contour drawing and then converting that completely into a site model, just in 2-3 clicks, you will be able to get this data if the surveyors can give you the XYZ. But that is the first thing they will also be having right after they do the survey method. So it's always a good practice to go through this so that minimum amount of errors will be there within this model. There are options to create from contour as well, but we will not be explaining going through that. This is the best method and something that we should be updating over the period of time. Now, moving to the next part where we are going to look into the second aspect, that is instead of having a column as a single element, we are going to make it a multi-segmented. When I say multi-segmented, it is going to have layers from the base such as footing and then foundation part of it, and then you are having the column. So depending on the design, you will be able to customize how you want it. But here to demonstrate for demonstration, I'm going to change the whole column on the basis of that. So I'll select all the columns within this project. I'm going to the settings, and within that we have an option specifically for segment. Within this, instead of having a single segment, we'll go for multi-segment, and I'm going to add 4 layers. So it's up to you how many layer you want depending on the type of shape that you are looking at. And let us start with the base part of it, where instead of reinforced concrete, if you want some other material, like for example, concrete. So we are not going to the technical aspect of it, but to showcase the flexibility. So I'm just taking the concrete for the base, and I'm going to change the dimension, probably like 4 feet by 4 feet. Let us see. So this is going to be like this. Also, I can set the height. So 1 feet 6 inches is what right now. I'm just going only for 6 inches. So it is going to showcase the same segment here. Now the second layer, I want it to be a little bit of tapered. So here also I can specify the dimension. So it was 4 feet. Now I'm going for 3 feet by 3 feet base to start this. And then on the top, I'm going for 1 feet by 8 inches as the next dimension. I'm going to maintain that. This element I'm going for reinforced concrete structure itself, and the next element which is on the top, I'm deciding that I need to have some kind of a metal plate around it, just to showcase it here. So only thing is we change the material. Probably we'll take steel structural, any type of material that you're most appropriate for this case. We'll maintain the dimension. Only thing is we are going to fix the height to be probably 1 inches. So it is going to showcase the same way here. Now, whatever is happening on the top, now I can fix what material that it is required. So once I set this up, I'll just give OK. And now this is going to showcase according to how we have designed. So you will be able to see these columns happening here. Now, let us say for these 2 columns, I want it to be a little bit below. So we can always move it down according to how our design is. And these things are stretchable. So we have already fixed some of the dimension, but not the column height. So whatever is fixed will remain the same way. The rest of them can be stretched. Now, if I just isolate only the columns, for example, so you can see this is what we have created by adding those layers. So in the previous session, we had only the columns, which is the superstructure part of it. But now we have also added substructure. Now, advantage when I speak about this multi-segmenting this thing is that it's always connected. Even if you move the column, the whole substructure also comes along with that. Now, advantage, each segment can be classified. So for example, if I want to get the quantity on the basis of these segments, so we have the option. So for that, we can also classify these things as a specific, according to Archicad classification, or if you're looking into IFC classification, which we will be covering later. So all these things can be done here. Along with that, individual segment also can be ID'd for identification of these elements. So probably all this footing, if you ID it on a specific number, so the later, whatever those number, on the basis of that, you can get the quantity back. So this is some of the advantage that we have. Now, let us get back all the elements which we had. So we are back to this. Now, beam also can be done in the same way. You can segment the beam. You can also add certain slanting and also convert that to an I section or a J section to create the type of structure that you are looking at. Moving forward, similar to this, let us talk about some tool. One of the tool that Archicad has will let you create a customized profile. So in terms of design, architectural design, I'm sure you have also explored some of the things such as cornices. So those are using a certain profile to work with. So we have a specific tool called Profile Manager to create that. So to do this, I'm going to create a new one. So you can already see there are some profile already. So if I just switch through each of them, you will be able to see some folders and there are some elements. And also you can see there are so many types already added. So if I just go to concrete, there are some precast inverted T or precast single T, different type of cross sections are already added in terms of structural properties. So I'm just going to create a new one, completely new one. So I'm just going to name it as 001 cornice. I'm going to save it to main folder, that is a profile itself. Now here it comes as a different interface altogether. So you can remove what is there and start modeling. So let us say I'm taking 1 feet depth here. And from here, I'm also, so this is the reference point that we are going to use when you are going to draw this. Here also I will take 1 feet, but I'm going to make it a little bit of interesting structure, something like this. I'm also taking use of the guidelines that is built into Archicad, and I'm going to make a little bit of curvature here. And you can see we have added some kind of detail. So I'll just make it a bit different. So we are going to consider this is a profile which is going to run through. Now each profile right now we usually use a thing called follow me on SketchUp, or if it is in Rhinoceros we use something like sweep. So this is the same method, but then this is a connected or referenced profile where any changes to the profile will change the whole thing at any point of time. So that is a parametric advantage of this. So if I just take a material such as wood, so we'll go for this plywood and then fill the area using the magic wand tool. So this is the profile that we created. We will save that for beam. So you can save this profile to be used with any tools such as wall, beam, column, or railing, or library parts. So we are going for beam right now. So I'll just save the profile. So it is done. Let's get back to 3D. And now I'll just showcase from here to here what will happen if I make that. So for this, I just take the beam tool. So if you notice here, we have a rectangular or a circular or a complex profile. So we are going for complex in this case. And then under custom, we are going to select this one. So this is the one we created. If you have something else, you can always switch between them and take the one you wanted. Now, if I just draw from here to here, you will be able to see that particular cornice profile that we added. So if I do, let me just make it for this side as well, so that I will show you how we can easily change. So in this, instead of a one segment, I'm going for like an L shape. So don't worry about the overlap. For the display purpose, we will see. Now you will be able to see this kind of profiles I can immediately create using this profile tool. Let us say I'm going for this edit. I have decided to add a point in the middle and then do some kind of changes to this. So let us say I'm making something like this. So we'll avoid this line, keep only the hatch. So now I have edited this cornice. I'm going to save this. And if I get back to the 3D, the same property is now repeating. So this is the bulk, that thing that has been added to this. If I come back to here also, you can see the changes happening. So the parametric aspect is this, you just have to change in one place and rest of the element is going to be updated accordingly. So the profile manager is really helpful when it comes to creating all these customization based elements. Now, moving further, we have additional property that you can add. So we call it another attribute, that is composite. So like you all know, when we create most of the walls or slab or roof, it's technically not always a single layer. For example, a wall mostly consists of a core element that will be more like a brick wall or block work, and then you may have plastering layers on both the sides. So that is a composite. You have a composite of materials added to that. So we can in Archicad create that. So the composite tools lets you create many types. So let us explore one of them. For example, this 140 block insulated cavity plastered. So if I just go through this right now, you can see it is used for wall, and then the layers are this. So the outermost layer is the brick of 4 inches thickness. and then you have an airspace, you have an insulation, you have a concrete block, you have again gypsum plaster. So you have multiple layers to this, and all these things is going to be one single wall. So for this case, what we will be doing is we'll be creating a new one. So let us name it as 001 external wall. So this is going to be the name of the wall, and we are going to have three layers. So the center layer is going to be the block work. So we can just take the material of block, which will be giving you the concrete block structure. And the other two, we are going to change it back to plaster. So we have this gypsum plaster. So I'm just going to assign those two material to that. So gypsum plaster. Now I just have to specify what is it. So both the external parties are finished, and then both of them at the same time, this value has to be thinner. So if I just go for the external wall, I can go for, let us say, 1 inch, or internal ½ inch. So it's just up to us, whatever the value is, you can always do that. And this is one, let's go with 8 inches. So the center part of it, the core part of it. So we created a new one. You can also assign it to only the wall. So a good practice would be that. And I'll just give OK. Now, how we are going to change from here is, all these walls right now, if you notice, this is 8-inch wall itself. So we can just select all the external walls which need to be converted to this plastered wall. So if you have divided this into internal and external separately, it will be much easier. You can even work on having both the plasters on that specific dimension. We will also change this guy as well. So we'll select this, and then in the settings, instead of using basic, we'll go for composite, and we will take the one we created. So that is a 001 external wall. And once I give OK, so the layers are now changed. There is also one thing you can see, that is using the outside of the face as the reference, but you can change that as well. So here, if I go for core outside, the bricks outside line is going to match with the column, and also column will be plastered around with the plastering layer. So this is an automatic thing that happens here. So you can notice that here as well. So the plastering is overlapping between them. Now if I get back to 3D, you will be able to see this. We will also just do a little bit of adjustment to this height of this to match with the slab. So now you can see the plaster layer has been added both inside and outside. So that's how we do the edit of this. So this composites helps us really better when it comes to all these things. In this, we also added, if you remember, this roof structure with only one layer. I'm going to change it to multi-layer, and I'm going to take the tiled roof option, where now you will be able to see all these layers within this. So the advantage is this: we can define specifically how it is, where it is, and what is the dimension, what material it is, how many layers are there. And now we are actually adding the LOD, the level of detail, to the model. So over the period of a project, when the level of development increases, this LOD value also can be updated accordingly. This floor that we have, again, that also can be updated to a different type of composite, where let us add some insulation to that. And now you will be able to see all the layers here in the plan as well. Now let us explore the same thing in section, which we created in the previous section. Now you can see the column that is here, the slab that is happening in this, the wall that we created. And also if I go and forward and see much more, we will be getting more depth detail here. So I think we had missed the beams in this base. So we will add the beam also to the baseline. So we can just select all the beams in this. So we'll just select all the beams and move it down. So we'll make the section much better and efficient using this. Just take it down. Make a copy, and then we will make the floor also connected. So instead of first floor, it should be connected to ground floor. So we'll maintain that as well. So if I get back to our section, we'll be able to see this also. So you can see the slab and the beam and all this detail. And you can see the beam automatically is cutting this slab here due to its property. And if I just change that where the reference level is taken, and if you remember, we did the reference level as the finish, that's why you can see it here. But if I change the reference level probably to the top of the core, the finish layer is going to be moved up, and it will also automatically get it trimmed. So this parametric aspect is happening by default, and you can also do a lot of edit on this. You can cut the slab and using some of the tools that we have already explored in the previous stage. So this particular composite will help us a lot in terms of adding these particular properties. Now, one more step, if I take it further, let us say we want to create a new material called bamboo or wood. So we can always go to the websites and get any of these PBR textures to create this. So we will also be getting this texture. Uh, what we do is we have this surfaces, so which is more like texture. So you can create a new texture, and then let us say we are going to call it as bamboo. So this is just the texture, not the material. And then I'm just going to duplicate an existing one, and I will change the texture, add from the library. So you can see there is some material I have already downloaded from online. So I'm going to use this texture of this bamboo, and then it is going to be added to this. So we have a new texture called bamboo. We will also add one more texture, 002. We are going to add like site, and then same way we are just duplicated. Only thing is we are going to add a new texture for that. So we have a couple of materials. So we have a ground. So I'm going to use the color map to that, and you will be able to see that as well. We can also customize this size of the texture. So right now it is 4 feet by 3 feet 7 inches. So we can change that also. So if I go for 8 feet, that particular texture will connect to the whatever the size is in the reality. Uh, so that also helps a lot. So once we're done with the texture, we'll move forward. And now I want the side texture to be added onto this mesh that we have. So right now it is using grass green as the texture. So if I just go to 002 site, now that texture is going to be updated on the basis of the new material that we added here. So you'll be able to see this. Now, if you remember in our composite that we added, we have used plaster as the outside material. What if we create a new material called bamboo? So we can always go for this new, and I'm just going to just name it as bamboo. And this material, we will assign one specific hatch. So I can give a solid hatch if I want to, and also one texture. So there is a texture we created, we call it bamboo. And we will also give some kind of priority in terms of the intersection. So we'll give okay. So we created a new material called bamboo. We'll get back to our composite. And here, the one we created, external wall, we are going to change this outside plaster instead of plaster gypsum to bamboo material. So here, now you can see it updates how it is in the plan, how it is in the elevation as well. So if I get back, all the material that are on the external side of this wall has been updated to bamboo, and whatever is interior will remain with the plaster that we added, the plaster material. So like this, we will be able to customize and create all these textures and add into this. Get back to plan, we will be able to see even the hatch updated on the basis of that. So we have given for bamboo a solid hatch, and now it will remember and create the same thing. So all these attributes is what going to make a lot of sense when it comes to the comparison between a 3D modeling software against a BIM software. So the interconnection between elements. Moving forward, like I mentioned, one of the tools that we have when it comes to do any type of modeling, especially freeform modeling, is morph tool. So morph tool we use extensively when it comes to customizing a library object. So for this case, for landscaping purposes, let us say I want to add a earthen pot to this. So I'm going for a little rectangular shape for this case. So I can take the morph tool. We have different type of creating this. You can create just by 2D lines. You can create a rectangular thing. You can also make it into a box form. There is also option to revolve around. So if you wanted to make it like a pot, for example, you can always revolve it around. For this case, we are going for this, and we can also make a material. So if I just use soil as a material, so that could be the building material that you can create. But if you want to customize a material, you go through the same process of creating the material and assigning to this. So I'm going to just make one rectangular box of probably 4 feet by 6 feet. So it's going to be really big. And then I'm going to move it up something like 3 feet. We have a box. So similar to how we do in a modeling software, the same method I'm able to create. Now I'm going to offset these lines inside. So the pet palette will allow me to do that. So you can see I created offset. I have also options like this push and pull, which will let me move towards inside or outside to create that shape. And also I'm going to give some kind of an offset from here to make it little tapered. So you can see that is also possible in this. Now adding on to this, there are so many methods that it has when it comes to do this model. So let us say I want to add a rectangular shape. So we have the option add to this particular model. So I'm just moving 4 inches from that point. Same thing, I can reflect 4 inch to this as well. And you can always do this kind of modeling within Archicad itself instead of depending on a separate 3D model. The advantage is that this is going to carry a certain amount of information into this. I'll also just an addition to that use one another option, which is this revolve. So revolve will more or like help you to work with the profile. So if I make a profile something like we just start over. Let me do this and I'll take something like this. I'll stop it here and then it will ask me an axis to revolve from. So I can showcase that also. So this is too slow, so it's small. Yeah, let's maintain this and we are going to take somewhere from here, the center. And we can also give the angle. So 360-degree will be the revolution. So if I get back to 3D, we'll be able to just get that. So we have this element here. So in the same manner, you can also add a specific profile to this and do all this push, pull, offset, all this kind of activity to this and create. So right now, if you notice, we'll be able to rotate it around. We can fix a specific working plane to do that. So this modeling can be done in any manner to do the same thing that we do it on any of the modeling software such as Sketchup or Rhinoceros or things like that. Now, the advantage here is instead of me copying this particular element, I can give information to the element. For that, one of the things that we do is we have a library and within that I can save it as an object. So in this library, I'm going to keep this as a port. Now, if I give OK, it will ask me to work more on the parameter properties such as the pen type. So what type of pen you want to add, what type of material it should be added by. And then once I give OK, now we have this object added and that will be in the library. So let's forget this. We'll keep it to the side and we'll come back to the model. And it will also show all. Now I want to add the port somewhere here. So we will take the object tool, the same method, and you can see right now it automatically connected. Whatever I was saving the last time is already added in the library. And you can see this is how it will be in the plan. It is how it will be in the elevation and it is how it will be in the 3D. And you can also customize this parametric properties, dimensions, and everything, including material. And also, let us say some kind of information you want to add to that. So this classification and property will let you classify into whatever type it is. And all these properties could be added here, including manufacturer details and everything. And now I'll use the gravity option because I wanted to make sure that it's placing on the right location. And then you can see right now we have this element added. So depending on which working plane we do, so right now you can see I'm using this working plane to work with. Same way, the gravity can be added to anything. If I wanted to add it on the top of the roof, it is going to work on that, but we will be mainly focusing on the mesh. And then let's just place a couple of them here and there. So that is how we created a library, and from the library, we have added into the model itself. So both the ways we can work with this. the library is extend when it comes to landscape modeling also. So if I just go for something like tree, for example, we will have the library already added, and then again customization of what type of tree you wanted to use, what is the level of detail you want to work with. All these are possibilities that you can explore within this. So we'll use the same gravity option onto the mesh, and then we can add also a couple of trees here and there. So the library will let you work like this, where you can add the classification, you can make sure they are in the right place, so that now I don't have to manually count it, which I'll be showing it to you soon. Let's get back to our floor plan and let us explore some other options in terms of labeling. So in this case, if I just use the labeling tool that we have and just place it here, let us get to this. And this is what we had done last time. It will give you the idea of this particular column. What if I want to get more information about it? So like I mentioned, the advantage of a BIM tool comparing to a 3D software is being able to add additional information to this. So this auto text is something that will let you connect to the properties of that particular object. So I'll go to this auto text, and here you can see there are so many options that I can look at. So if I just go to, for example, general parameters, some of the properties like area, some of the properties like ID, where it is connected to the heights or any type of thing. So right now, if I just put on height, it will show me that the height of this column is 4.13 meter. So I can also add a manual text. So if I just put HE, and then I can also add the unit. Let us say we need to something, we need some other property that you want to take. So we can always look into this and get the property. For example, if I want the volume here, I can get that. If I want something specific to a column, I can also get those information. If I want something like material, that is also can be done. So I'm just going to take the volume as well. So let me just put volume, and then yeah, we have option to add that. So there are some options to work with, including this specific superscript as well. So now we have created one type of thing where from this same method can be used to create different objects also in this. Let me just remove this. And now using the same thing, I can save it as a favorite. How it is going to help is when we create a template, the next time when we do that, it is going to be part of your library. So I don't have to make this again and again and go and type for every single column. So I'll keep this selected. I can go to the settings. I can save it as a favorite. So I can name it as 001, probably column annotation. So this name is going to be remembered and this property is going to be remembered. So I'll just give OK. And using the same property, the same method that we did in the previous session as well, we'll select all the columns. We can go to document, and under annotation, we can label selected elements. So now we will be able to see whatever property we made it to the labeling tool, we'll be getting the whole information. Imagine you are doing it with any other software, manually typing for each ID, what is the height, what is the volume. Again, I have to calculate as well, but here I don't have to do that. So the auto text let you work like this. You give the information, you get back the information immediately. Moving further, we will look into creating a new schedule. So as you know that we have created this column details within this model. What if I want to get the quantity of the column that we made? So what we do is we have a specific option for schedule. So last session, we just showed you some of the built-in schedule that are already there, but here we are going to make something new. So we will just right click here, go for new schedule. If you have a specific format for naming all these things, you can give that. So for example, just I'm giving 001, but you can always give SCH or some kind of code to make sure that you have an organized way within the company. So here I'm just going to give column schedule. So name is done. Now what we do is we define what is the criteria for searching and what is the field that you're looking for. So in the criteria, I'm going to select that the column is the element that I'm looking at. And you can also have multiple search criteria, like if you want to get the quantity of all the columns in the first floor or something like that, you'll be able to do that as well. Now I'll go to this add field. So field is what you want to get it from. So one of the field that I want, for example, is the element ID. If I want something like the axonometry, how it appears in 3D for the schedule, I can do that. So you can easily differentiate. Let's say I want to get the volume. So I can just search for volume. So the volume of the column, I'll be able to get it from here. Let us say how many number of segments is there in the column. I want that. So all these properties are searchable and you can find it. And let us say quantity is something that I want as well. So I can add as many detail as possible. I can add it directly here. Once it is done, once we define it, it's done. Now what we do is we just have to open the schedule that we created. Now we will be able to see all the columns which are there in this project. So these are the ID of the column, and this is the appearance of it, and what is the volume, what is the how many number of segments are there for each of the column, and what is the quantity. So it is right now ordering on the basis of these IDs. If you don't want, you can also merge them on the basis of certain property. So if I just do, for example, element ID to be the last thing, first priority, if I give it something like the height of the column, for example. So if I just type height, I'll be able to get the height also. So that is also one property that you can add in this. And you can also sort them or find the total quantity. For example, if I want the total volume of the column, I can also do that here. If I get back to this, now the sorting is going to be changed on the basis of 3D axonometry. So the order also will help. Now you can see how many are there and all these aspects. So we can avoid certain property that you don't want. Now you will be able to see also the total volume of the column that you have. So immediately you will be able to create. If you have noticed, we used column as a reference, but we have also worked with column segments. So if you want the schedule on the basis of column segment, we just change that aspect here. Now, when I change that, now each of the segment is going to be classified and it will give you the information. So each segment, what is the height of the segment? Like you can see 1 inch, the plate was we had used. Also the 6-inch height for that particular element. So we get the information back like this. Similar way, we will just explore also the object library, object inventory, the schedules where we have already added some objects within this. And you can see the bed, the wardrobe, the sofa, also the items that we recently created. So that is also now part of the library. I can now make it much more interesting by adding certain things or removing certain things. But if you are doing it on a software that is not BIM specific, I will have to count this manually. Here I'm already getting the total quantity here on the basis of the sizes and all this detail. Customization is completely free to work with within this particular software. Now, this is the major amount of things that you can do when it comes to a comparison with just a modeling software. The complete amount of data taking within a software where you give some amount of information and then you're taking back what is required rather than you manually measuring. So we will now get back to our session where there are some question and answers that I would like to ask. So you can use your phone and scan this QR code. It will connect you to Mentimeter, where there will be some of the questions that is related to this particular session. It will help us also to understand how much of the content is being shared with you and how much you can grasp within this. So it would be great if you can take your phone and scan this and join. We will wait for a minute and then we will continue. Yeah. The QR code will still be there. You can all join at any time. Now, what is your name? So we would like to know who all are there and who all are participating in this. So in your phone now, new option will be added. Yeah. So we will go to the next part of it. Have you tried Archicad Solo yet? So some of you are already been part of this series from the first session. So I would like to know how many of you have tried it. It's thinking about it. That's good to hear. Yeah, so it would be great if you can, like, you will get the trial version already. So you can go to the Graphics of website and get the trial version. We will also help you with installing the trial version and trying the software. Uh, yeah, so to the next part, the first question. Can we use Archicad Solo for landscape design? So be specific to the answer. We have explored some of the things. Yes. Yeah, that was quick. So it was good. Yes, most of you have answered as yes, we can design. So main part of it is design comes in our mind, but the application of it when you use a software is transforming that particular thought completely into a 3D model or twin, digital twin, we can call it. So we have all the tools available. You just have to use the right tool to create in the right format. Can we use Archicad for the structural design? So some of the aspect will be covered in the next session, but you already have an idea about creating the structural aspect of it. So we will be focusing more into in next session also. Yeah, that was good. That was quick. Yes, all of you have answered yes, it has structural analytical modeling. We will be covering major part of it, including the design part or modeling part. We already did it today, but tomorrow's or next session that we are going to have will be more talking about adding all these properties, like whether it is a load bearing or non-load bearing, such kind of properties within this. We'll move to the last question. What does Autotext do in Archicad Solo? So we explored it to some extent today. So it will link element with this information, write content with AI. Auto text is not available in Archicad Solo. Yeah, that was quick as well. That was good. As all of you have answered link element with this information, not just in terms of labeling, but also in terms of creating the sheets or the text. So within that, so we have the option of doing that using this auto text. So let us say who is the first person. Yeah, congratulations. Magical Rhino, that is a name you have added. So you have been the fastest person, also all the answers correct, it seems like. So congratulations to you. We will get back to our presentation and we will conclude the session. So thank you everyone for attending this session. Make sure to scan this QR code and fill the Microsoft form so that you will be entering the competition for this price that we are giving, that is Archicad Solo for 1 year subscription we'll be giving. So to make sure you have joined here and add your details, including your name and also your mail ID, make sure to add the feedback as well. Meanwhile, we will also cover some of the questions. There are a couple of questions, I think it's added. Yeah, there is one question where Raghunanda is asking, do tell us how would you calculate the quantity for external bamboo? Yes, we use the same method that we created. So we have the quantity takeoffs. So instead of element, we will be going for a different method altogether here. That will be on the basis of the material properties. So I'll just take to Archicad and just introduce it once. So like you see, there is element. In the same way, we have components. So in components, if I just open component by elements or all component, for example, it will give you the schedule on the basis of the material that is being used. So you can see the first element itself is 001 bamboo. And you can see the volume already it is added 4.92 cubic meters. So by default, it is already created because we created a material in that manner. So again, because it is bamboo, we may not calculate on the basis of volume. So if you are specific into calculating the bamboo part of it, it would be better if you have created an object which is a bamboo element, and then you can multiply it and use it. Like there are so many methods that you can use to create, but this would be one of the way to add that. So whatever we add, we will be able to generate it here. I think that question answers your doubt. Also, we have the trial download link already added in the chat. So if you're interested, you can just go to the link, make an Graphisoft ID account. That will help you to download and use the trial version of Archicad for 30 days. At the same time, you will also be able to access to Graphisoft Learn to take courses and also do certain examination within that. How do you calculate how many tiles required for flooring? It's the same method. So we have this similar to this component. We have also surfaces. So if I just take the surfaces, we will get the exposed surface area of each of the material. For example, bamboo, exposed area is 0.82 square meters. If I just something like a tile material, if I use it, or let's just take a textile itself, it has been used in 26.61 square meters. So you have the area already added. If you want to convert that completely into something like how many tiles, you just divide it with that particular tile size. So we have a specific thing called property manager. So this property manager will let you create certain type of things. For example, like calculating this tile. So in that we assign those particular equations, and it will give us the output of how many number of tiles or how many number of brick is required. We'll be looking a bit more into the property manager in the coming session. I think that helps. Megha is asking, can you tell me where I can change the substructure settings again? So yeah, substructure, not specifically, it's just that within the column setting itself, the segment will let us do that. So within this, we have the segment. So you can activate this multi-segment and add, by clicking on this add button, you will be able to create multiple layers into this, and each of the layer you can select and start changing them, whether it is the profile section or material or what is height or the shape of it. So all these things can be customized here itself. Next question from Rohit. Can bill of quantities be generated? Yes. So that was the last part that we were showing, the schedule part of it. So from the schedule, in the same way, you just add these properties such as getting how many tiles or bricks, you can do that. So this property will let you use the equation. You can have a set of properties of prices. So if you add a price such as the cost of one brick or cost of one tile or something as a property, you'll be able to create the price as well within the Archicad software. You have the option to export it as an Excel file and work with it, but also Archicad lets you work within it using this property manager. Yeah, I think these are the major things. And I think all your answers are there. Any other question is that you can always ask us. We will also give the link to the website. So you can access to our website where you can also add multiple questions or anything that you have more than this. So right now the link will take you to our webinar section. You can explore our options. So we have also courses on Archicad that we are doing, or you can join anytime. So there is one more question from Pooja. Changing shapes like parametric forms be created. I did not get the question. So I'm assuming your question is like controlling even the shape. So there is actually a different way of doing it. Like for example, there is a tool called shell tool, which will let you have two different profiles and combining. And whenever you change one of the profile, it will let you change. But if you're looking at something like parametric computation software such as Grasshopper, it does not do it the exact same way, but you will be able to link two different softwares like Grasshopper and Archicad. Within these two softwares, when you do any changes in Grasshopper, automatically it will convert those normal forms into a BIM structure within this. So anytime you change the shape in Grasshopper, it will change this. But within Archicad itself, there is a specific tool called Paramo. So the Paramo tool will let you create these kind of parametric forms using the visual scripting. So there is an option for that as well. Satish sir, you want to conclude?
Yeah. If we have any other questions, please do write to us. You have different ways. Either you can write to me directly in the email ID what I have mentioned over there, or you can go to our website and ask the questions also, or you can directly write to Shine also. It will be shine@cosmic. Can you just put your email ID, Shine, so
Yes.
that we will be able to help you out? The idea is basically that we want all participant to learn this Archicad, so that this will be helpful for you in your career or in your current work, or if you're going to practice on your own. So the idea is to democratize this software so that it will be helpful for everybody, so that it can be helpful for everyone. And last but not the least, we will we will provide you the feedback form link right now. Please, attending this session is very good because we get a lot of knowledge about Archicad. But please do fill the feedback form. It is basically for you to join the lucky draw, because many times people join in from phones. So we may not know who exactly have joined from the phone. Filling a feedback form will know who exactly have joined. So which will also help us during the lucky draw process. So please do that. If you want this recording, we will surely be sending it across to you. We have 2 more webinars which will be going to come up, which is going to the advanced level also, which will be by shifting from Revit and also coordination and collaboration. So please do join us for our other 2 webinars also. The registration for the webinar link is the same. You can anytime go and do it. And last but not the least, please do follow us on LinkedIn or in Facebook or in Instagram also. We share all the details about oncoming webinars and how exactly Archicad will help, which we are going to do it over there. Please follow our YouTube video also, because we are slowly going to add a lot of videos about how to use Archicad in our YouTube channel also. So with this, I would like to invite Sonali. Sonali, can you please conclude this session?
Yeah, sure, Satish. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your valuable time for all the customers, students who have joined this session. I hope we were able to give you a proper knowledge about the Archicad platform, how it has been continuously advancing over a period of years. I request everyone to please fill up this feedback form. It is really going to help us and help you. And the next session for our is going to be on the 29th of May, where it is really going to be one of the exciting again, that is comparing with the other softwares. I really hope to see everybody being present there too. And if anybody else from your friends, colleagues, anyone who wish to join us for this webinar, please do get in touch with us or write to us. Thank you so much, everyone. And we can conclude this session now.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Sonali, and thank you, Shine, for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.